Dear students, as you all know that for FYBCOM Additional English, we are supposed to study the text, that is, the Pearls of Wisdom. The very first unit I have dealt with is in the form of e-notes, where you will find that I have given you notes on the lesson as well as the poem. That is because I wanted to show you how notes can be developed after reading the text, after comprehending the text. So you are supposed to write the answers in this way. You are supposed to understand the lesson in this way. And that is why purposefully the first unit I have dealt with in the form of e-notes. Now for the second unit, the first lesson that we are going to deal with today is by Robert Benchley, titled Do Insects Think? Now this title is in the form of a question. And Robert Benchley, a humorist, he has dealt with it very humorously. Now here in this essay, he begins the essay by telling us that how Professor Bouvier, in his book entitled The Psychic Life of Insects, says that we should not give credit to the little insects. He calls them little winged fellows. And why we should not give them credit for the way they behave? Because that is their manner of behavior, and that is not something like intelligence. And therefore, he says that can also be a reaction of the way they behave. And therefore, the writer, Robert Benchley, he is trying to confront the writer by saying that he would show an anecdote, and then he has made the professor think. In this anecdote, he says that in the summer of 1899, as he was working on a treatise titled Do Larvae Laugh? Now again, that's a question. And he says, as an experiment, we had kept a wasp at our cottage in Adirondacks. Now this wasp was looked after like a child of his own. Though it did not have the qualities of the child, but for the writer, he says, it was just like a child. And he says it was so shy, just like a 15 or a 16-year-old teenager, that it wouldn't even eat in the beginning. Because naturally it was in a new place, in a new surrounding. And that is how, the writer has tried to show childlike qualities in the wasp. And then he says, because it was a female, we tried to name it Miriam, but later on, like children, we thought of a nickname, and then we started calling it Punch. And then he says, one evening, when I was working very late in my laboratory, and as I was working with some chemicals, I tripped over a card, and then all the cards that I had kept, the card catalog, that he means to say that he had kept on the table, it got knocked off, and everywhere the cards were scattered. Now those cards contained the names and addresses of all the larvae in North America. And the cards were everywhere. The writer says he was very tired and he felt like crying, and he did not want to pick them up late at night. So he just saw that the wasp was circling in the room. It was flying in the room. And then he says, maybe Pudge will pick it up. He said like this, and half laughingly he said it, and he went to sleep. Now this is a reaction that he has tried to express, but see how this very reaction he uses to show the reaction of the wasp. And then the next morning, he says, when he got up and came to the room, he saw that Pudge was still fast asleep, as if Pudge was also tired. Now he says maybe she was tired because all the cards they had scattered there The faithful insect, it must have buzzed around all night thinking as to how should I pick those cards, how should I, categorize them. But because it was not able to do so, and maybe thinking that if I categorize it and if I try to put it in an order, I may create more mess of it, and my master may be more confused. And so, as if the little wasp, it thought it is better to go to bed. And that is how he says the little wasp was discouraged and she must have cried looking at the scattered cards, and she went to sleep. And now here in the last line he says that this is my answer to Professor Bobbier's statement that insects do not have reasoning power. In this way, the writer has made us think, because this is a thinking which the writer in fact has applied to the wasp, but has tried to show that by not doing anything, by not touching the cards, the wasp has done a great job. So, it is ultimately the writer is trying to show that even by doing nothing can also be the best form of intelligence. Because in the 1920s, in America, a cult had, developed that always tried to judge intelligence on the way of productivity, on the way, you are active doing things. And this is, in a very humorous manner, the writer has given an answer to this pretentious tone of American science. So in this lesson, dear friends, you have to pinpoint the humor. You have to understand the subtle humor that the writer has created by talking about the wasp, by trying to show us how the wasp has not done anything and still it can be an intelligent creature. Now, dear friends, after listening to this video, you can go back again to this essay, read it again and again. You can again listen to the video again and again, try to understand what I have said, how I have explained it, and then you can solve the questions that are based on this lesson. One by one, please attempt the questions that are based on this lesson. Try to answer them in your answer books. And there is a word limit that is given. Somewhere it says answer in 100 words, somewhere it says answer in 300 words. So please stick to that word limit, because it is very important to follow the word limit. That will also help you to write in the given specific time, and that also increases your understanding of language. Another important thing which I would like to mention as far as this particular lesson is concerned, if you come to comprehension section, and on page number 18, the third question is, who is the researcher who believes insects can think? And the multiple choices given. Now here, the question should read like, who is the researcher who believes insects cannot think? There is a printing mistake. Instead of can, please make it cannot. And then your answer would be Professor Bobbier. There are multiple choices given, but there is a printing mistake in this question, so please correct that mistake. Instead of who is the researcher who believes insects can think, it should be who is the researcher who believes insects cannot think. Thank you, dear friends. With this, I come to the end of this lesson. I hope you have enjoyed it, and after this, we shall talk about the poem that comes in unit number 2. And now, dear friends, it is your work to read the lesson again and again and try to understand it line by line. There are meanings given at the end of the essay. You can also refer to a good dictionary, and I think it will help you a lot. Thank you.